This week, we continue our theme of competitive bidding. We're covering more situations where the opposing side can get into the auction after one side has already opened the bidding. Now, so far in this series, we've looked at a few ways that this can happen. In lesson 16, we showed how opponents can overcall with a simple suit overcall. That shows a good suit. We've also shown in lesson 17 how a player with a certain type of hand can ask their player to suggest the best suit to compete with. That's the takeout double. And last week, we learned that by making an overcall of one no trump, player shows a strong hand holding 15 to 17 high card points and a stopper in the opponent's suit. Now, in this week's lesson, we're going to look a little bit more at overcalls of suits, but we'll be focusing on how a player can get into the auction when they have a good long suit. That's 6 or more cards, even when they've got quite a weak hand. But firstly, let's recap what we covered in lesson 16 when we first introduced the suit overcalls. It might help you to look at pages 93 and 94 of the beginning bridge book, or even go back to the lesson 16 video in this series. The first thing we covered in lesson 16 was an overcall at the one level. Here, South has opened the bidding with one heart. If West makes an overcall over South's one heart opening, then the bid shows a good suit, 5 or more cards in that suit, at least 2 honours in the suit that we're bidding, and around 8 to 16 high card points. Here are a couple of examples of hands that could overcall with one spade after South has opened the bidding one heart. Hand A is a good 5 card suit and it's got 9 high card points, so it's perfect to overcall one spade. Hand B is at the top end of the range for a one level overcall. It's got 16 high card points. And hopefully, if partner has just 3 spades and a few points, they can support spades and West may be able to make 9 or more tricks in a spade contract. During lesson 16, we also covered overcalls when you might have to bid at the 2 level. Here, South has already opened one spade, so any suit that West overcalls with needs to be with a 2 level bid. At the 2 level, we need to have a better hand. That's a good 6 card suit and at least 10 high card points, or a really good 5 card suit and perhaps a bit more strength in high card points. Here are some examples of hands that would overcall at the 2 level once South has already opened one spade. With hand A, we've got 11 high card points and a good 6 card club suit. That's really suitable for an overcall of 2 clubs. And hand B, similarly, we're good enough to overcall 2 hearts here with this good heart suit and quite good strength in our hand. Now, you may also remember from lesson 16 that we looked at the reasons for overcalling. Now, these may just simply be constructive. We possibly have the best cards at the table and our side may be able to make our own contract. Or perhaps we want to be informative. Our overcall tells our partner about our best suit so that they know what to lead if we end up defending the contract. But there's another reason that's more tactical. Our overcalls can be destructive. Our overcall can disrupt the opponents. It interferes with their auction so that they struggle to describe their hands as precisely as they would like to. And maybe they end up bidding either too high and going off in their contract, or perhaps they bid too low and they miss the chance to make a game bonus score. Perhaps even we can find a suit to sacrifice in. That's a contract for our side that maybe fails, but it prevents them from making a much bigger score. For this, it might be good tactics to go off in our contract. We give points to our opponent, sure, but we've stopped them from scoring more points if they were to find a game contract of their own. And that's where the weak jump overcall comes in. It's a tactical bid, and it's designed to put a wrecking ball into the auction. The weak jump overcall. Here, South has opened. Now, our hand is quite weak, so it's quite possible the opponents can make a game contract. We don't simply bid one spade. That might suggest a slightly better hand like hand A that we saw on slide 2 earlier. With our good 6-card suit, we can put a wrecking ball into the auction. Our best bid is a jump to 2 spades, not a simple overcall. This is a weak jump overcall, and it shows around 5 to 9 high card points, 6 good spades, and very little else. In actual fact, our hand is pretty useless unless spades are trumps, and even then we might not even be able to make a 2-spade contract, depending on how good partner's hand is, but we simply want to make life hard for the opponents. Now this seems counterintuitive to many students. Why would you bid higher with a weak hand than you would with a stronger hand? Well, it's all about tactics. By jumping, you explain your weak hand perfectly to partner and you cause the maximum disruption to the opponents. It's now hard for North to respond to their partner. They have to bid at the 3 level, and perhaps the opponents will now miss their best contract. Now, I need to stress a couple of words of caution here. Firstly, some very experienced players are really uncomfortable with this tactic. If you play bridge with your grandmother, who may have learned the game years ago, and you make a weak jump overcall with a hand like this, she might be rather surprised and think you've lost your mind. But bridge continues to evolve, and this is the modern tactic. You need to make sure you've agreed to play this way with anyone you partner, but it's certainly the way that many of the best bridge teachers are now recommending that students are taught. There are some other additional factors that we should need to consider here, but we haven't explained these yet. They would influence your decision to make a jump overcall. It's a complication of the scoring system that's called vulnerability, but we haven't covered that yet. So for now, we'll leave this factor out of the decision and assume that it's the right tactical move in all situations, just so that we can get the basics right. Let's look at a few more examples. In these examples, South has opened the bidding 1 club. In hand A, West has got 8 high card points and a good spade suit. They might make a simple overcall with 1 spade, but it's much better tactics to jump to 2 spades. North now has to bid at the 3 level. Are they strong enough to do that? Our bid has consumed space in the auction and made it much harder for North and South to describe their hands and find their own best contract. With hand B, again, we would jump to 2 diamonds over the 1 club opening. We wouldn't simply overcall 1 diamond. And with hand C, the best bid is a jump to 2 hearts. Remember, we're jumping to the next level because our aim is to be disruptive to the opponents. Now, this comes with some risk, so we need to have the insurance of a good suit so that if we end up declaring the contract, we stand a chance of not going off by too many tricks. When we hold an even longer suit, we can do more damage. If our long suit is trumps, then each extra card that we hold in that long suit is a guaranteed additional trick. So with a 7-card suit, we could jump 2 levels and bid at the 3 level. Now we're swinging that wrecking ball even harder, and opponents probably have to guess to find the best contract. Hand A, we've got 7 spades here. We're probably worth a jump to 3 spades over the 1 diamond opening. Now, we don't expect to make 9 tricks in spades unless partner can really help with their hand, but we are making it incredibly hard for the opponent to find their best contract. Hand B, we've got 8 good cards in hearts and a weak hand, so the right bid here is the jump to 4 hearts. On a bad day, we might actually lose 6 tricks, but our partner may even have something useful in their hand to help. Now, stressing again, suit quality and length are what matters. Our primary aim here is to be disruptive. With hand B, it's possible that the opponents have a 4-spade contract of their own on, but it's very hard for them to bid it once we've jumped in with 4 hearts.